We're out in the middle of nature today at Pettigrew State Park, where families can come out, do some camping, maybe set up a tent or an RV, even get out in the middle of the lake on their canoes.
A lot of people don't realize that there's actually a state lake here. It's the second largest natural lake in North Carolina at 16,600 acres. The majority of the park is composed of that lake. We have over 5,000 acres of other land, some of which is not developed, but there's actually over 9 miles of hiking trails around the lake. You can't go the entire way around the lake, so they're out and back trails, but they're pretty wooded, usually pretty well shaded, even when it's hot like this, so that's a help. We also have this picnic area we're in. We have 13 campsites. They're all primitive sites right now, but we also have a group campsite that's available. So there's a variety of things to do out here. We have people come in and just set up in tents. We do have RVs that'll come out and camp. Usually their stay is a little bit limited because we don't have a dump station. That is one of the things that's in the plans for some work, hopefully the next year or so. Some improved sites and then some sewage hookups for RVs. But right now, like I said, it's all limited to primitive camping, and there's also fishing is really good out here. You can come out and swim, boats. There's no restrictions on the boats are out here. Also, we've had people come out and just to see the dark sky, because there's almost no light pollution out here. We do have canoes for rent out there. Now, that's also going to be dependent on the weather, because if the wind picks up or is predicted to pick up, this lake can get surprisingly rough really fast. You know, I've talked to some people who say, hey, the fishing's great, it's never been better. Then the next day, somebody will complain there's no fish left in the lake. So, yeah. But generally, yeah, the fishing is really good here. We got a lot of people come out to bass fish because it's managed to be a trophy bass lake. There's also some bluegill in the lake, catfish. There's the perch have started to make a comeback. So there's a variety of game fish to catch in there. Yeah, we've got a lot of people come out and bird watch, especially during the spring and fall when the tundra swans come in. We get a lot of people come out to see that. During this time of year, there's a lot of snakes and turtles out. You usually find turtles along the edge of the lake or even the edge of some of these canals. As the weather cools off in the evening, you're liable to see black bears up and down these roads, because we do have a big population of black bears in the east. Number one, if you're going to come out, especially on a weekend, I'd just go ahead and make a reservation, because a lot of weekends we do fill up with only 13 campsites. Try to look at the weather forecast, see what it's going to be like. If you don't have a boat, if you want to rent a canoe, we have that. If you want to let the kids swim right off the swim pier, it's shallow. Even though the lake is really big, it's actually a very shallow lake. It's only about 9.5 feet at the deepest part out in the middle, so they can certainly swim. And there's some easy hiking trails. It's really flat out here, so do keep up with the heat. Make sure you take water with you, but it's nothing too strenuous, so you can even take small children on that. They've identified over 30 different dugout canoes in this lake. We have one that's under some conservation work that's supposed to come back once we get some facility improvements. But these dugout canoes were built by the Algonquin Indians, and they would take down a cypress tree and then burn and then scrape it. And because this is just a seasonal village for them, what they would do is sink them in the lake to preserve them. And so, it kept the insects out of them, it kept it from drying and splitting, and then the next year they come back, they'd pull it up and drain it, let it dry out for a little while, then use it to fish. We had the Algonquin Indians around here, and they were fairly large, they had a common language throughout the southeast. And if you look at some of the old paintings that John White did, he actually painted some of the Algonquin Indians in this area. So in different places around the lake, not only have they found canoes, but we've found stone tools, some pottery shards, and even occasionally some of the surrounding fields. Some of the farmers will sometimes uncover a stone tool while they're plowing or doing some other work. And they were here until basically forced out by European contact. But that's good. A common question we get is, do you have alligators in the lake? And we've never seen an alligator in the lake. I can't even find a historical record of anybody finding an alligator in the lake. And I've asked different biologists why, and nobody's really sure, but they think maybe it's because there's not a good area for them to pull themselves out on the bank, because there's just not that much dry bank front available here. But if you come out when it's been really wet, rainy, you're not going to want to wear some bug spray, because the mosquitoes, can get you in certain areas. And if anywhere, just like anywhere else here outside of North Carolina, be aware that you might have ticks. But people ask questions about the bears. We've never had a negative bear encounter out here. Never had problems. We do have 2 species of venomous snake. We have copperheads and the timber rattler. Again, never had a problem with them. Our trails are pretty well maintained. If you keep a look and you see them, you avoid them and they're not an issue. Yeah, if you do come out to fish, all the The Wildlife Resource Commission's licensing requirements still hold, right? So you still have to have a valid North Carolina license to fish in here. And we do have signs posted at the fishing areas, which remind people of the trophy bass and the limitations on them. So as long as you follow those regulations with a valid license, you're good.